All right. So there's a lot of events happening in West Africa that doesn't really get talked about, and I don't see any channels talking about it. So I'm going to talk about it. So I'm going to pick out 3 to 4 stories, and I'm going to get into it, give my perspective, see what's happening, and just go from there. So let me go ahead and switch the screen. So what we got right now, so we got Cape Verde and their situation where it was a disease, or I guess a disease on a cruise ship. So that's going on, and they're trying to deal with that. I haven't really heard about that on mainstream, but that's why I'm talking about it. So that's the same thing. Then you got Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso. I see so many strong opinions online, and what annoys me is it seems like it's just one point of view and it's led by emotion, and it's annoying to keep seeing the same people talk about certain things just so frivolously. So got that going on. Might click on that. Cape Verde. So this is the same cruise ship thing. Senegal. I haven't heard much about Senegal, but tensions within the government. I'm not sure what's going on, so I'll click on that video and get the Mali junta. So I did hear about the chief being I did hear about the chief being killed, so he's gonna take over, see what that is about. Nigerian, I did hear about this. The militia kills dozens of Fulani herders in border raids. So it's a long time coming. The northern region of Nigeria is just wrecked by chaos over and over and over. And like, you can't really trust the reports of what's going on because you don't know what is propaganda, what is actually real. It's just a mess. We got here xenophobia from South Africa to Nigeria and other African nationals. Again, this is happening again. This happened in the past, so I want to click on that to see what's going on. What else? Remember this guy when he did this cool. So Guinea, I went to Guinea like, I guess it's like 3.5 years ago. Visited for the first time. It's not infrastructurally. It is behind. It was one of the worst. So I visited 6 countries, and in West Africa, and that was the worst one by far as the infrastructure. But it did have an amazing art piece that I wish I had the means to bring back home. So then you got Burkina Faso, because of what happened in Mali. They're trying to beef up what they're trying to do. So that's going on. And then, oh, this is the same thing. Okay, so I got the same. Where did I see this at? Wait a minute. Oh, these are 2 different things. Why did I get the same? Is this the same? Wait a minute. Well, I'll click on the videos. So let's see. What has my interests more? If I was gonna pick one, let me just see what's going on with 3 patients evacuated. So let me click on this.
3 people have been evacuated from a cruise ship off the coast of Cape Verde amid an outbreak of hantavirus on board. The patients are now on their way to the Netherlands for treatment. 3 passengers have already died and several others are seriously ill. Hantavirus is usually transmitted by contaminated rodent droppings, but health authorities in South Africa and Switzerland have identified a strain that can be transmitted between humans. For now, the Dutch-flagged Hondius is moored in the Atlantic, waiting to head to the Canary Islands. On Tuesday, the Spanish government said it would receive the vessel after a request from the World Health Organization. The island's regional governor opposed the offer, citing public health concerns, but Madrid insists it will ultimately make the call. The Andes strain of the virus believed to be behind the outbreak is found in South America, primarily in Chile and Argentina, where the weeks-long Atlantic cruise originated on April 1st.
Wait, so like they started a cruise in Chile, a weeks long cruise. That is, if you ever been on a cruise ship. So for me, the most I was able to do was just 5 days, and then really 4 nights, and I just start getting tired of it. I can't imagine being on a cruise ship for weeks at a time. That's just insane. You don't have any, for the most part, the communication, since you don't have service on sea, not able to talk to anyone. I don't know how they do it on this ship, but that is a long time. But regardless, so I guess some mice got on board and then they decided to get on a cruise ship. So as long they got to quarantine everyone that's on that ship, which sucks, but you definitely don't want to spread that inland because we already had issues with monkeypox and what was the other one that was killing? I can't remember anymore, but you definitely want to maintain that on that ship. So I don't know. I don't have anything else to share with this one. I seen the headlines of something about the ship, but I didn't know what was going on. So, but they didn't really talk about much. So let me cut that out. Let me see what's happening with this. Oh, this is not this is not a video. So let's see what's happening. I guess this is the guy, Burkina Faso, journalist speaks at a news conference in Dakar, Senegal. Oh, okay, this is him. This is 2023. So Burkina Faso's authorities secretly held and abused a prominent investigative journalist and dozens of others in a makeshift detention facility in the capital, an international advocacy group said Wednesday in the latest crackdown on political dissent in the West African nation. Reporters Without Borders said Atiana Serge Oulon, editor of the newspaper, was taken from his home in June 2024 by several armed men in civilian clothes. Burkina Faso's military junta later said he had been conscripted. They later said he's been conscripted into military service. Instead, according to the advocacy group, former detainees said Oulon and up to 40 other people were held in a heavily guarded house in the capital, Ouagadougou, as of late 2025, contradicting the government's claim. They reported sleeping on bare floors, having to drink toilet water, being beaten by guards wielding ropes and tree branches. Oulon's current location is unknown. Reporters Without Borders said it had shared its finding with Burkina Faso's government, which didn't respond. The group said Oulon had been in the junta's crosshairs since 2022 when he released an investigation accusing an army captain of embezzlement. RSF called for the journalist's immediate release. This journalist's so-called conscription into the army was merely a smokescreen to cover up his detention. RSF journalist, saying a statement. Oulon's place is neither on the front line or in a secret prison. So, crackdown on political dissent. The advocacy group said the junta's inner circle appears directly involved in the detentions. That's obvious, with the security officer for the junta leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, personally briefing detainees before their release and warning them not to speak out. Since he's in power, he took over in 2022. It's 2026. It's been like 4 years. Burkina Faso's junta has cracked down on political dissent and journalists, shutting down independent media outlets, enforcing conscription. Military-led government announced on Tuesday the ban of French television channel. Accusing of disinformation over its coverage of jihadist violence. Same day, Burkina Faso also ordered dissolution of around. So this is the issue that I have with a lot of people online. They are so caught up in their emotions when it comes to anything that seems like it's against Western nations that it's basically What is it? How does the saying go? You spite. Oh my goodness. How does this go? I don't want to mess it up. Okay, yeah. You cut off your nose to spite your face. And what I've seen consistently, maybe it's just Instagram and what they put out, but so many people are just for this government no matter what happens. They don't take a step back and just use some critical thinking skills and realize if you first you have a military junta, you have a military guy that takes over the country. This has happened before in the past. There's a pattern of this happening. There's dissent or there's frustration in the country. Granted, that's cool. Then you have someone that wants to make a change or whatever difference. The military takes over. Once the military takes over, then it seems like nothing really. They say, okay, we're going to have elections soon. We're going to do this, that. They just want power. And then time and time again, people say, okay, yeah, this is cool. This is what we need to do. And then in this case, you see this guy, okay, we got to kick out everything French and whatever. If you use your critical thinking skills, it's impossible. You have decades of cultural mixing with the French. Now, I can understand, hey, independence and stuff like that, but at the same time, you want to be strategic about how you move. Now, you got this leader, and I remember I had a conversation with my friend about this. You have this leader that doesn't want any dissenting voices. That's red flag number one. Anytime someone is trying to get away of or get rid of anyone that comes against them or has a different opinion, they're doing something, most of the time, they're doing something that they don't want to be shown to the light. They're doing something nefarious. That's just human nature. Usually, if you don't want anyone to oppose you, how are you going to get the best for the citizens? Because, this is basically what communism, that type of rulership, Marxism is. You have a group of people that think they know best for the masses, but it doesn't work out that way. You are not God. You don't have supreme knowledge of everything. So anyways, you see this situation happens. So it's been 2022. It's now 2026. The security situation in the country has not improved, so they haven't done anything different, or they haven't made any progress that's noticeable. As far as economically, they're not really doing anything new. They're stopping. Biggest thing that you need to pay attention, and they're a landlocked country. They're stopping private businesses from really doing business. It's one thing to have rules and things set in there. That's another thing when you make the environment so unfriendly that it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So it's not like they have a whole bunch of natural resources like that is, to warrant, okay, you got some leverage, but no, you're a landlocked country. You're unable to deal with the Islamic terrorism that's happening in your country. Your economy can't really grow because there's insecurity threats. You don't make for a good business environment because you're threatening companies, especially if they're foreign, and those are the ones that usually have capital and experience. And so it's just like, okay, you can only loot and do what you want for so long until the money runs out or someone behind you tries to take over you, and then it's just a cycle that does the same thing. And say this because just historically, this is just what tends to happen. I don't focus on the noise. I'm looking at, okay, what have you produced over this time? I want to see some type of progress. The ones online, what happened is, on Instagram specifically, someone will post clips, pictures, or whatever. None of it is ever verified. Because, it's not verified because the government stops independent journalists. Anyone that's not part of the government, they can't speak on anything. So the government tells you what they want you to know or what they want to get out, which is biased just in its nature. And then the people put it on Instagram and they run with it and they make it seem like, okay, improvement is coming or whatever. If you can't have a unbiased party verify what you're doing, then what you're saying is just, it doesn't mean anything. It's not reliable. You can't trust it. And that's what's going on. And so, it doesn't surprise me when you have journalists being kidnapped and this and that and conscripted. It's just lies. It's just like obvious lies. And one thing I also know is just these military guys, they're not sophisticated people. All they understand is, okay, basic level of force and short-term thinking. But as far as expanding and really doing something more and growing, they don't have that experience because of history, and also because they just culturally that's just not where it's at. So when I see stuff like this and I keep hearing about Burkina Faso they're not moving in a positive direction. It's just going to be more of the same of what's happened in Guinea, which is nothing. Everyone got excited in the beginning. They thought because it looks like he is a powerful force, something's going to change. Nothing changed. And people stopped talking about it. So that's what's going on over there. And it's unfortunate that you're going to have the same cycle of foolishness over and over again. All right, so that's Burkina Faso. Cape Verde, this is the same thing. I kind of just get the gist of it. I'm curious about this one. What's going on here? Commercials.
Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has spoken out about his disagreements with the parliamentary majority and the direction taken by his party, PASTEF. Rising diesel prices linked to the conflict in Iran heighten the urgency of a transition already underway across Africa. Rising global temperatures could endanger athletes, fans, and workers during
Fore on Saturday as
Ousmane Sonko.
Tensions between Senegal's leaders came to the fore on Saturday as President Bassirou Diomaye Faye sent a message to Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. Their PASTEF party is bigger than any one man. In a televised interview, Faye warned of excessive personalization.
This is so stupid. Let me just see. I'm gonna show you something I just noticed. Okay, this guy is supposed to be security, or the way he's acting. Why the hell are you wearing shades inside? You need to be able to see clearly to see whatever threat might come the way of the president. Why are you wearing shades? That makes no sense. Lack of critical thinking for so many people, especially in West African. Like this is one of the things that just irks me. It's just lack of critical thinking skills. Lack of critical thinking. It's just so stupid.
Man. In a televised interview, Faye warned of excessive personalisation, saying the party risks being destroyed if its participants don't change course. Sonko has a passionate following among the country's disaffected youth, with whom his Pan-African anti-French rhetoric struck a chord ahead of the 2024 presidential election. But Sonko was barred from running and instead backed Faye, who appointed him Prime Minister. After parliamentary changes to electoral eligibility rules last month, Sonko is expected to run for the top job in 2029. But for now, the sitting president reminded him, Faye holds all the power. If Sonko remains Prime Minister, he said, it's because he retains my confidence. When that's no longer the case, there will be a new Prime Minister.
Faced with rising diesel prices.
Okay, so that's going on. So political. I don't really have an opinion on that. I know they always had a peaceful like peaceful government transition, Senegal is one of the countries that's actually doing decent. The only concern I have with, I guess the major concern, it's not major, but a concern I have with Senegal is just riding on the coattails of emotion as far as like everything, hate the French, hate the French. You can be critical of the French for sure, but the emotion of, it's like an immediate reaction to, it seems like anyone foreign. And it's just like, look, this is a global connected world. Either you know how to work with people and you can get stuff done, or you just try to be antagonistic to anyone and you don't go anywhere. Because really you can't, this is a global economy. You got to know how to have proper liaison and be professional in that way. You can be tough and you can be firm in how you deal with people, but you got to, like, you need people that know how to make deals. And so when I hear about, okay, the youth and he struck a chord with the youth and the French or whatever, I understand that in the beginning. I would like to see, I don't know much about what's going on in Senegal like that. That's the thing. So I need to keep tabs on it. I used to follow it a little bit early on, especially before the election, but I haven't done recently. But this seems like something small as far as like a disagreement. And that's one thing about a lot of West African news that I see. It seems like it's small stuff that's not really. No, let me not say that. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, but this doesn't really seem like anything major. But we'll see. We'll see what develops with that. Okay, so let me see. I want to do one more story, maybe two more. I want to go to, what is this about? I'm really curious about this South Africa stuff. Let me see what this is. Guinea and their foolishness. Okay, I want to actually see what's going on here.
Did you know that you could have a real estate career without a degree and earn $83,000?
At least 130 Nigerians have registered for evacuation from South Africa following renewed fears of xenophobic violence, Nigerian officials said, as tensions rise in part of the country. According to reports, the Nigerian government has begun arrangement for a voluntary evacuation program after a surge in threats and isolated attacks targeting foreign nationals. Many of those signing up are said to be based in Durban, where anxiety has grown in recent weeks. Authorities said the evacuation is precautionary, aimed at protecting citizens who feel unsafe amid rising anti-immigrant sentiment. South Africa has a long history of xenophobic violence, often driven by economic frustration and perceptions that migrants compete for jobs and resources. Previous outbreaks of violence, including deadly riots in 2008 and renewed attacks in 2015 and 19, have strained relations between Africa's two largest economies, Nigeria and South Africa.
Yeah, honestly, I think Nigeria should really be like the U.S. of Africa, because the economy's so big, a lot of people, a lot of bright people, business, all that stuff. You know how Nigerians are. It's a shame that a lot of the Nigerians have to go down to South Africa in order to find some type of relief or opportunity. I mean, people always move around, but it's unfortunate this has happened because this has happened before. South Africa had issues with xenophobia before. Maybe 3 years ago, I was hearing about some stories where there was really murdering Nigerians and Zimbabweans and all that other stuff. And then they'll just blame the South African people down there, youth, men, women, whatever. I think mostly the men, they will just blame the foreigners for all their problems, saying they're getting rich off of us and stuff like that. And it's just like, yo, this is your country. You can do the same thing. When I went to South Africa, I came across a lot of locals, and what they told me, especially one, she was really honest. She was just like, the reason why South Africa is the way it is because the youth feel entitled. And they feel entitled because they feel like their parents fought during apartheid, and now the country is kind of owed to them, so they don't feel like they should work for anything. They kind of feel like they should just exist and benefit. And the way, and I've heard this described about the South African men over there. They are abusive and they are lazy. I've heard that consistently so many times. And it's just like, when you look around, when I was there, I mean, I was mostly nightlife and, but usually what you hear is just a lot of them just don't want to work and have an issue with gun violence down there. Robberies, like daytime robberies, just is unfortunate. But there was another story that talked about this. I wonder if this is the same video.
Did you know that you could have a real estate career without a degree and earn $83,000?
African nations must address instability causing migration. This is a message from South Africa to other African nations in the wake of xenophobic attacks in Johannesburg and Pretoria. South Africa hit back Wednesday against charges of xenophobia after protests against undocumented migrations.
The issue of immigration is a pressure point, not only here in South Africa, but throughout the world, where protests are held on these issues. What is important from our perspective is obviously respecting the rights of everybody that is within our borders, and to, when we protest, to do so peacefully without causing harm to anybody. Condemnations that we've had coming from the different quarters on the continent should not just end in condemnations, but there should also be willingness to constructively engage on what are these issues and factors behind people seeking to leave their countries of birth and seeking refuge elsewhere.
This comes at a time when other African nations have condemned recent attacks of their citizens in South Africa. South Africa has further said the attack should not be characterized as xenophobic, but rather as protest against illegal immigration.
Any characterization of these protests that seeks to portray South Africans as xenophobic is actually lazy sort of analysis of the real issues that are at play here.
In fresh demonstrations on Wednesday, hundreds of people marched in the eastern city of Durban and other centers to demand that the government take action against undocumented migrants operating businesses such as small shops. Demonstrations in previous months have also sought to deny undocumented foreigners access to South Africa clinics and hospitals.
Okay, so I can see, if I'm trying to be fair, I can see like the different sides to this. So he's talking about, okay, you countries that your citizens are fleeing to come here, how about you should put some focus on fixing your own nations. I mean, I say that about Nigeria all the time. At the same time, you can also say to South Africa, well, you've had a history of attacks against foreigners, and if your borders weren't so porous, you shouldn't be having this illegal immigration problem, or you should be structured in a way where people can't just set up shops. They have to have documentation. You need to be checking permits and stuff like that. If you find that they're illegal, take them out or do some type of rectification about the situation, and then this won't keep happening where the citizens and there's like just a clash of different people. That should be done as well. At the end of the day, all countries need to be developing themselves and showing progress. And when it doesn't get done, this is what you tend to see. You tend to see other Africans go to other nations. Those host nations feel like those Africans are taking over or doing better. From what I've heard, the reports I've heard, especially in South Africa, and this is from the local that was there, the way she broke it down was these foreigners come over to South Africa, they see the opportunity there, they set up their shops, so they got money to spend. I'm sure some of them, cause problem or whatever, but they have the money to, so they're doing what they're doing business, and then the locals get jealous. And then that's when they start attacking. Like, I've seen some of the videos where it's not like it's young people that will start these businesses and getting attacked. These are like older people, and you just question, like, are they really causing problems, those foreigners, or is it just jealousy? That's why this is the local was telling me it's on jealousy. A lot of the youth, or a lot of the men in South Africa just are lazy, not as hard workers like that. When I was there with that experience, I didn't venture out to, well, I guess I did, but I mean, I wasn't paying attention to the men, but it just seemed like any other African country. Education is free, so they can go to university for free. When I just sit back and think about the infrastructure and what's going on, there is a lack of development. I think they should be way farther ahead than where they are, especially with, you come out of apartheid. I mean, this is like the 90s. I mean, maybe it can be, I don't know. I do believe this should be a lot farther than where they are. And then the attacks about just like the gun violence and stuff like that, that part is just insane. And then the robberies during the days and stuff like that, that shouldn't be happening. But we'll see the developments of what happens with South Africa and the other nations or whatever. But those are the stories I'm just going to talk about today. Let me know your thoughts, what you think is going on, what are your opinions. Do you think Burkina Faso is going to rise up and show everyone they were right the whole time, or are they just going to pretty much just go the route of Guinea, which ain't much? If you pay attention to Guinea, I know someone is from Guinea, and she just says it's just been a disaster. Nothing is really being done. The leader, he's like a drug addict, really, and I mean, it's just a mess. So I don't see any improvement. But anyways, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.